Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on the Crypto Princess channel. Today we have Army Piper. Oh my God, I'm so excited. How are you, Army Piper?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm
Here,
doing
you get the
so
hearts too.
well. Oh my God, yeah, totally. Oh my God, I need to get those graphics. Okay, so for those people who are unaware, Army Piper is a friend of the channel, and I absolutely love him. Macro, no one beats Army Piper, hands down. And I know a lot of YouTubers and a lot of channels. Army Piper, we've done your crypto story, which was very inspiring. And you were the first guest on my live streams. Do you remember that?
I absolutely do. I was honored to be your first guest. So that was amazing. Here we are again. I'm back with Princess again. So I was looking
Also,
forward to meeting you at Vegas, but that didn't happen, of course. So
yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people think I'm scary, or the government thinks I'm scary, which is quite flattering, actually, because if you meet me in real life, you would not think I'm scary at all. Okay, let's
I
just
heard you're
quickly.
pretty short. Are you pretty short?
Well, I'm 5'4", but I'm always in high heels. And the high heels that I wear the most are actually 6 inches. So I go around as a 5'10", because it gives me alpha vibes, and I just feel so masculine. I just feel so much better. So I walk around as a 5'10". But if I
Nice.
take
Very
off,
nice.
if I take off my shoes, oh my gosh. Okay, let's see who's in the chat. Oh my gosh. So we've got Mike. Welcome, Mike. I hope you're well. And Mike's always supporting me. He's brilliant. And we also got Fizz, who is from Ireland. He's amazing. We've got Bullduck, who has helped out in the Discord. And we've got Stephen, and Stephen's starting to become a regular. Oh, I notice everyone, don't worry. And then we've got Black Hat Team, who helps me out an awful lot. Oh, and then we've got Jesse. How can we not have Jesse? Oh my God, we've got Jesse. Did you hear Jesse broke his hip?
I did. He got a hippiotomy going on over there. So
Can't even think of it. I can't even think of it, because it's like, if I think of something like that, it's like I've broken my own hip, and like I just get, ooh, I hate thinking about things like that. But hey Jesse, I hope you're well. And then we've got Tim, who's American, but me and Lauren have claimed him to be a Brit. And we've got the lovely Alexandra G, who we absolutely love, and Lost on Crypto.
that's line of sight on crypto. Keep an eye on there. That's right. LOS crypto. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Oh, and Princess. I love him. And we've got Alexandra G. She's always working. Bless her. Always working. We need to start paying her, if I'm completely honest.
I've tried.
Sorry?
I've tried.
You've
I've
tried.
tried.
Is she?
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like her. She sounds really humble.
She will not take any money. I've tried. Trust me, we've tried.
Oh, bless her. We've got Dave Digital, a fellow YouTuber. We did Steve, and my brother-in-law's name's Stephen. Sometimes call him Steve, or Bobby. I don't know which one.
Is it VEN or PHEN?
I think it's VEN, because we're British.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got a funny story about a Scot that I met named Stephen and Marcus was always giving his buddy from Edinburgh a hard time because his name was spelt STEVEN, and he said it's not a proper Scottish spelling there. You're more British than Scottish, even though they both lived in Scotland. It's pretty funny. So,
Well, to be fair, I don't even think that's right, actually. I don't like the PH in there. Oh my God, we've got Chipper. Good day, Chipper. I hope you're well. Chipper's so supportive. And we've got Allset. Moving down the list. Oh, we've got the lovely JR, who's an amazing trader.
he is. He's awesome.
5-4 heels sold. Oh, Alexandra G's 5'4". Oh, bless her. So cute. We've got John Legend, who's absolutely amazing. I'm just going down this. I always say hi to Nightbot. I always say hi to Nightbot.
Hi, Nightbot.
Hi, Nightbot. We've got Carlton. Hello to you as well. What does that say? Do you know what? I really need to get my eyes tested. Bit uno, whatever it says. I'm so sorry. I'm going to butcher your name.
Bit innuendo. Bit innuendo. That somebody says hola, Tio, Jesse. Hola.
And we've got BC. Hello, BC. Payer in love. Yes, most definitely. Gosh, you guys talk. I love it, actually, because when I'm in the chat, I'm always going. Oh, and we've got French Toaster. Hello to you as well. Okay, we've got a lot to cover. I'm so glad we've got Army Piper with me today, and I'm just going to move the screen around a little bit. Okay, so Army Piper, yesterday we had a little bit of a scare. Yesterday we had a little bit of a scare in the crypto market. It was rattled by some FUD surrounding the NPM supply chain malware attack, which now appears to be resolved with minimum damage. And it's very fortunate for us because it was unsuccessful. I was actually quite concerned. I was like, how can that actually happen? Because we've got so many different blockchains. They've all got different consensus mechanisms, all the rest of it, but they were really after the wallets and all the rest of it. But these type of attacks, they're probably going to increase in frequency and sophistication. Would you agree?
I do, absolutely. And it's never going to change. Matter of fact, this is another reason that I am a little more bullish on some of these institutions getting involved, doing what they're doing with custody, for example, like Coinbase and stuff, because they've got the money and the teams to really lock down and secure, offer more layers of security than some of like you or I do. And as this stuff gets more and more relevant and more likely to occur because of technology increases, capability increases, then we would see that the chance of getting something happening to your money is going to increase also, right? And so we don't want to see our crypto disappear. So I do think that there is some validity to more money, big money coming into crypto from places like Coinbase having their layers of security, being more like a bank in way of security measures. And I think that's what helps a lot. So, but yeah, we're always going to have hackers. It's going to happen. So. Digital money, digital threats. So
exactly. And that's why it's so important to have a hard wallet. And hard wallets are not difficult to operate, not at all. And it's about time we're all sovereign with our own money. We've got some awful laws coming in the UK where they actually want to just track our money. It's nothing like America. I think we're a lot more submissive, we are, in the UK. And RS Miller, haven't seen you for a while, so welcome. Okay. Oh, and Gregory, welcome to you as well. Wasn't a hard wallet. It wasn't a hard. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't a hard wallet hack. Not at all. No. Okay. And it's very difficult to hack hard wallets because they are stored offline. Let's go back to this year. Last year we had the ETFs approved. Now, back in 2004, the first US gold ETF was launched. So we're talking about gold now, and we're going to compare it to the Bitcoin ETF, which was launched last year. So in 2004, that's before the in 2004, we had the first US Bitcoin gold ETF launch, and this led to a multi-year price rally that peaked around 2011. And through the financial crisis of 2008, gold kind of literally just went up. It went parabolic then. So considering that the Bitcoin ETF has already been influenced by the ETF, already we've seen an all-time high before the halving, effectively altering the traditional 4-year cycle. Army Piper, do you think Bitcoin can behave similarly to gold now after its own ETF launch, with a period of sustained growth over several years? Could the ETFs have fundamentally changed the Bitcoin cycle?
Yes and no. Let me break that down for you. So the big difference is that the gold ETF, it didn't create demand for gold. It just made it easier for people to get into gold, right? A lot of people that were buying gold had to like go through like American Precious Metals Exchange, or they had to go through brokers. That was how they really got access to gold, right? The gold ETF made it possible for your everyday average Joe to go, hey, I want to add gold to my portfolio. I can just now go through my, my exchange, right? And do it that way instead of getting gold. So it didn't increase demand for gold. It made access to those that wanted to invest in gold get easier access. Flip that over and let's talk about Bitcoin ETF. Your average person in America still does not know what the hell Bitcoin is. They all knew what gold was, and so there's a huge difference there. Awareness and acceptance of Bitcoin as a trusted asset does not exist on a mass scale anywhere in the world yet. I walk down my street here. I live in a very nice neighborhood. This is up, higher income area of Dallas here that I live in. And I walk down the street and I can talk to every single person down the street. The only person that really knows about Bitcoin around here is my yard guy. That's it. And he comes by when he does my yard and we talk about Bitcoin. Nobody else on the street has any idea don't even have an interest in getting into Bitcoin or to learn about Bitcoin. So I think that until that changes, until the awareness and acceptance of Bitcoin as an asset grows, then we won't see the run. Chipper said, I'm almost his neighbor. Hey, come on over, man. Let's have a beer. But I don't think that we're going to have that run on the Bitcoin ETF like we saw with gold ETF. Everyone knew what gold was in 2004. It's been around forever. We still have a very big gap in the intelligence of understanding what Bitcoin is for the average person. So,
okay, so that's the average Joe. If we look at institutions and countries now, they do have a lot of money, and what they are tending to do, especially institutions and companies and all the rest of it, they're now raising millions, if not billions of US dollars, not to buy property, not to buy or to sell a new product, not for marketing, but to buy Bitcoin. And now obviously then we've got the Bitcoin ETFs as well. Every week one new publicly traded company is coming in and putting Bitcoin on its treasury. And then we also have a lot of countrywide national adoption of Bitcoin, and it's really taken off, especially after the American election. What do you think about that? What do you think about adoption at a national level and an institutional level?
So I think a lot of these companies that are investing to put Bitcoin on their ledger, they're seeing MicroStrategy, right? And so that they're kind of like adopting micro levels of what MicroStrategy did. Now, let me ask you this question. What happens to all these companies and all their Bitcoin if they see MicroStrategy fell?
That is very true. That really
bad catalyst, right? And so you get a big sell off of all these people that, hey, we got all this money, Bitcoin on our treasury, they just failed. We need to dump this before our shareholders start questioning why we're still holding this, right? So you do have that factor. As far as the countries, I mean, it's great to see the countries doing this. A lot of these countries that are adopting Bitcoin, um, they're doing it because they're in horrible economic shape. They're third world
Mhm,
countries essentially.
mhm,
I think it's great for them, but I'll be impressed when we start seeing major economies do it. I mean, we were promised a treasury, treasury, Bitcoin treasury in the U.S. Long before an election, and yeah, how's that looking? So we're not seeing major countries that do it. We're seeing countries that need to flee to Bitcoin because their currency and economies are already shattered and weakened, and it just kind of fills the gap. It's kind of like the Japanese art, where everything's got cracks in it. You fill it with gold. That's what those countries are doing with Bitcoin. So um,
mhm,
we're not seeing it the adoption on major countries with major strong economies yet. And once we get there, then it's good. I think right now, yeah, everything's bullish and everything seems great, and all this good stuff is happening, but we're not seeing it push past that threshold of it not being a risk asset. And until then, we still have to treat Bitcoin as a risk asset. Am I still dollar cost averaging? Of course, every single week, based on my Piper plan, my multipliers, which you have access to. You love that
mhm,
thing, don't you?
mhm,
And so, I'm just going to keep following the Piper plan, and I'll DCA every week. And when those other catalysts push past thresholds of major countries with strong economies adopting MicroStrategy not failing and causing a flush out sell of all of these companies that have bought Bitcoin. That's the problem with ETFs and all that. It's really easy to sell Bitcoin too, right? You can buy it, you can sell it just as easy. So, and once that happens, then yeah, we'll go from there. But as far as it becoming a commodity, to loop back to your original question, I do think Bitcoin is getting closer to being a static commodity of value. It's getting closer. It's closer now than it used to be, but I think that we need to get past some of those thresholds of the latter question that you asked. We need to get past some of those roadblocks and speed bumps for that to become a full-on commodity with some stable pricing. So
mhm, mhm. And DDT is saying Sailor and his Ponzi scheme, because at the end of the day, they are buying with debt.
yeah,
There's nothing behind
absolutely.
that.
Which is
Um,
why the S&P 500 didn't accept them in. They didn't make the S&P 500 this past week
mhm,
because most of their valuation is debt. So while the United States likes to operate on debt, S&P 500 evidently does not like companies that operate on debt. So
mhm, mhm. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about OTC. Now, this is where countries and institutions tend to buy their Bitcoin, unless they're getting it straight from the miners. Do you think, or are you worried about the amount of Bitcoin on OTCs, which is at quite a low? I don't know how much it is. It's over. I think it's just over 100,000 Bitcoin left.
yeah, so I saw some stuff on that. I don't remember what I read on it. I saw somebody talking about it on X, but then other people came in and said that that's all that it's easily refilled. It's a bucket that can easily be refilled again. We're not running out of Bitcoin yet. Like
Mhm,
I know the
mhm.
OCC shows that, but trust me, when Coinbase wants to refill the coffers, or Binance, or one of these other people, it's going to get refilled. I don't put much I don't put much emphasis on that data point because it can change very quickly. I think it's just one of those things that people are using to try to build some hopium. And I'm very careful about what data I take as real hard data and what data that I take that is just hopium dealers, because there's too many hopium dealers out there. I try to protect my viewers. So, but yeah, I did see that. I did see the whole thing on it with the 100,000 Bitcoin, but some other people had some valid points in the post about how quickly it's been at that level before, and then it's gotten refilled very quickly. So
Yeah,
take it for what
yeah.
it's worth. Is it good right now? Sure. Can it be quickly turned around and become filled back up again with somebody else selling a bunch? I mean, we just had a guy that sold 25,000 Bitcoin on market on an exchange a couple of weeks ago, he could just as easily have learned his lesson on the fees that cost him and say, I'm going to dump my next 25,000 on Bitcoin. Now we've had a 25% increase on the OTC. So.
And you just mentioned their Coinbase. They actually have one of the largest amounts of Bitcoins. They have a lot of Bitcoin, they do. Okay, let's now look at the performance of Bitcoin this year. So how is Bitcoin and crypto performing when you take into account stocks, bonds, and gold have had an absolutely brilliant performance this year? How's crypto measuring up to other markets?
I think Bitcoin's performed very well. I think select alts have performed very well. I think overall, the crypto market as a whole has been a very poor performance this year. Matter of fact, if you even look at the stock market and you look at Bitcoin, I'm trying not to pull up charts today. I just try to have a conversation with you here. But interesting point. Since January, I actually think that Bitcoin and the U.S. stock market has underperformed what people actually think it has performed. Because if you pull up and look at Bitcoin versus the euro, and you look at the euro versus the U.S. dollar, the euro has absolutely crushed the U.S. dollar since January. And so when you look at Bitcoin versus the euro, it hasn't made a new all-time high since January. So Bitcoin versus euro has not had a new all-time high. Bitcoin versus the U.S. dollar and stock market versus the U.S. dollar, they've had new all-time highs. Why? Because the dollar's valuation is dropping. If it cost me 50 cents to buy something and all of a sudden it cost me 10, now it's worth 10 cents, it's going to cost me 5 times more to buy that item of the dollar. So the weakening dollar is actually increasing the value of Bitcoin versus USD and the U.S. stock market. Compare it to something that hasn't lost value as much like the euro. Bitcoin's never made a new all-time high since January 2025. So
when you actually look at the American dollar, it's facts to say that no fiat currency has lasted the test of time. They've all gone down to zero and they all get replaced as well. The American debt now is over 37 trillion US dollars. Do the markets care? Our investors are still ignoring that crisis.
I think they are really doing it because at the end of the day, we're still settling most debts in the world in the U.S. dollar. They're still buying up the 10-year yield right now. The 30-year yield is getting bought up again. People still want U.S. debt. We have one of the most transparent economies when you compare it to something like China. And if you even look at BRICS, all the nations combined of BRICS, their GDP combined isn't as great as the United States. So until that changes, until that is gone and no longer the case, we might be very weak, but we're still stronger than most in the grand scheme of things. So people are still wanting the U.S. dollar. So we have more $100 bills outside of the U.S. than we do inside of our own borders. So
that's because people are suffering. It's getting really, really difficult.
Exactly.
For families.
Horrible. And we just talked about job numbers this morning. We're seeing job numbers like the 147,000 had a revision to 160,000 negative, which actually left us negative for June of this year on job numbers. The data that came out today, that negative 911,000 jobs, that only goes through March 2025. That negative jobs in June is all on top of that. Yeah, it's getting really, really bad in the U.S. And remember, we're usually the one that everyone looks to when things are going bad. And so how is it like? What is it like for these other countries? It's really bad. I mean, we're seeing France is on precipice of collapse right now. Countries are doing really bad. China, that's another reason that China will never get people to run and flock to their currency as a global standard. We're starting to realize that China's been in financial heartache for 3+ years, and they haven't been very transparent about it. So China's in big trouble. So
And last time we spoke, the inflation in America was completely and utterly out of control. How is the inflation in America now? Are they getting it under control? Are their measures working?
transient and sticky, as Jerome Powell says. It's not good. It's not going down to where they want it to be. Matter of fact, let me pull it up here so I can just talk about it. But looking at the economic numbers this week, we're seeing PPI this week is supposed to be coming in. This is tomorrow's data. It was 0.9% last time. Last month it was 0.9%. If you do the math on that, and then you said, okay, this is the new norm every month, right? You'd be looking at like 11% inflation annual. Where's that? 2% is the goal. Remember, 2% is the goal. 11% on that. Right now, they're still saying, people are going, oh, it looks like it's going to be back down 0.3, 0.4. That's still not 2% at all on an annual basis. So not looking good there. PPI still going to be higher. And then inflation, yeah, they want to tout. We got inflation numbers coming out on Thursday. We're going to get inflation rate year over year, month over month, but we're also getting core inflation year over year and month over month. Core inflation removes food and energy. Okay, food and electricity, food and power, food and heat, right? Food and hot water. However you want to cut that energy out, right? And look at it. Right now, if you look at inflation rate year over year, and month over month, it's expected to be slightly higher. Inflation rate 0.2 going in at 0.3, right? Inflation rate year over year 2.7 going to be 2.9 is what they're expecting. But if you look at core inflation rate, removing food and energy, they're like, oh, look, it's the same. It's going to be neutral, 0.3 to 0.3, and 3.1 year over year is going to be 3.1. Again, that doesn't include food and energy, which means what's more expensive? Probably the two most important things in the American consumer's requirements list every week. I need power, heat, AC, and food, man. So, yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Inflation is not, it's still rearing its ugly head. Matter of fact, I'm actually concerned about the job numbers and inflation staying around and then the rate cut, because if we do 50 basis point rate cut on September 17th, which is right now a low possibility of it, it's a 100% chance that we get a rate cut. It's about a 90% chance right now that we get a 25 basis point rate cut, but there is a 10% chance that we get a 50 basis point rate cut. If you look at the last 50 basis point rate cuts that were done based on data requiring it, not because kumbaya inflation looks like it's heading in the right direction. We did one last year at 50 basis points, and that was because they said, okay, we can give a little bit of a lightening up here. We can loosen up the reins here a little bit. Looks like we are heading in the right direction with inflation, and then it bounced back up again and they quit cutting rates, right? If you look at the ones that we've cut based on the data saying, hey, we're having trouble here, we need to cut. 50 basis point rate cuts on those ones out of the last 7, they look like this. And give me 1 second, I'll bring this up. Here we go. January 2001, we had a 50 basis point rate cut. This was because we were having this was the fallout of the dot-com bubble, okay? The dot-com bust. That was a 50 basis point rate cut. Recession started 60 days later, okay? This second one after that was September 2007. That was the Great Recession, 50 basis point rate cut because we started seeing the collapse of the housing market. They did it cut in September. December, we had the start off of the Great Recession. 2008, we did an emergency 75 basis point rate cut. That was based on the continuation of the Great Recession, and that recession, again, was already underway. 1998, we had the Russia crisis and the LTCM crisis going on. We did a 50 basis point rate cut then. No recession, but there was global stress continuation for a while, which made the market very volatile and shaky. March 1980, we did another 50 basis point rate cut. Recession started in January of 1980, so it was 2 months too late, right? And then 1981, we did it rate cuts after prior hikes. cuts began after prior hikes. Sound familiar? And we had a recession confirmed the same month. So March 2020, we did the 50 basis point cut. And of course, we had the COVID recession. So 6 out of the past 7 50 basis point rate cuts have led to recession within 90 days. So when you hear too late, Fed Powell, right? Yeah, that's the history of the Federal Reserve in general. And so if we had that situation, a 50 basis point rate cut, and it was too late, and we have a recessionary period, which we're already seeing weakening jobs on top of inflation not going away, that's called stagflation. And that is a very painful place to be. It means you have less employment, less money coming in to buy stuff that's way more expensive still. Not a good spot to be at. So,
no, it's not. And then normally they actually cut rates once they've broken something, even if we don't get a 50 basis point. Even if we don't get a 50 basis rate cut, if we do get a rate cut in the short term, do you think it will tank the markets? I know everybody's so excited for this rate cut, but what do you think it will do to crypto?
I will not be surprised at all of what the buy the rumor, sell the news. Because the reality is, while yes, it's quantitative easing, and we know that Bitcoin tends to follow money, it's even deviated from that on the M2 money flow. There's the offset. It's diverted from it. It goes way up when we started going this sideways again. And so while yes, we do have that. We do have that connection of monetary easing and Bitcoin performance. Refer back to beginning of the show. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is still a risk asset at this point in time. And so if the markets do start to go, okay, we're getting rate cuts and that's great, but there's something broken here, I think that we're going to speculate downside movement. A lot of money is going to protect itself. And when you have those big institutions, those big companies, guess what they do? They protect their money so because their stockholders expect them to. People will sell. You will not find diamond hands in the corporate world. So,
just quickly, welcome to Randy, T.I. Joe, and Dave P in the chat. I was actually going to ask you a little bit about the M2 money supply. So we normally lag on the money supply. Are we still following the curve of the money supply?
No, it's done a slight deviation. I mean, it's not a horrible deviation. It's not like it went 180 opposite direction, but where we have historically stayed in lock and step with that offset money supply chart, we have started to deviate where it's still on a sharp incline, but ours has started. The Bitcoin has started to go sideways and slightly down after that pullback at 125. But that goes back to what I've said before that. Global money supply, M2, does not equate to global liquidity at all. Like there's two separate factors there going on for money supply and global liquidity. We've got the highest amount of debt going on in the stock market right now in history on leverage margin money. So if the liquidity was high, it wouldn't be that way. They wouldn't be all on margin and debt at the highest level ever on the stock market. So we do need to have a look at what that looks like, and it's hard to track global liquidity really as a chart. It's not as easy to follow as money supply. We can see that really easy, but we tend to follow liquidity more than money supply. And I think that the money supply being there, but not so much the liquidity, is creating a small deviation on that chart. So,
okay. Sorry, I'm just telling one of my mods off. Oh gosh, live on
Dave
air.
Digital.
Yes. Okay.
Double D. Love that dude.
Okay, so what do you think will happen when the Fed cuts? Because it's only a matter of time now. If the Fed was to cut rates,
I think we get a sharp rally. Rally.
Crypto stocks, where everywhere,
all over everything.
Right.
We're gonna have. I think we have one more blow off top before reality sets in, and then everyone that FOMOs in is exit liquidity. That's what I think happens. I'm looking for end of October as market top, and I think somewhere in the ballpark of like 152 for Bitcoin.
Sorry, you're looking for a top at 150.
Around October 31st to November 3rd.
Okay, that's my sort of timeline. That really is. Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, no matter what, I'm out before the end of this year, and I have said repeatedly, 2025. I'm not technically buying anything. I'm not buying anything anymore. 2025 is about exiting the market. You were King Bear when you came on last time, a good couple of months ago. It sounds like you're still King Bear.
I'm isn't everyone a bear? I mean, if you have a belief that the markets are going to continuously always go up, are you really living in reality? That's not the case. It doesn't do that. So, I mean, I just called for $150,000 Bitcoin. Is that really bearish? I'm a realist. Analysts are not hopium dealers or bears or bulls. They are realists that look at a true analyst. A true analyst. I'm going to point that out. We look at the current data as it is available, aggregate, analyze, assess, predict, and then as new info comes in, we go through an analytical cycle. There's a actual science to analytics that most people don't know how to do in this space. So is it really a bear? I don't know. I think I'm a real sure. Is it ultimately going to go down? Very likely. Do I want to be prepared for that? Yes, I'm going to DCA until it's time to collect my money. I'm going to sell my old house. I'm going to take that extra money profit, add it to my dry powder. I've actually got a great system going right now. Someone said earlier they got the new Coinbase credit card. The more money you hold in USDC, the higher your percentage is back. I'm currently pulling 3% Bitcoin on all of my monthly purchases because I use my card for everything, pay it off at the first of the month, don't pay any interest, use their money to pay my bills while my money still sits earning APY. And then I get 4% back to add to that in Bitcoin. Yeah, just keep using the system for your own gain. That's what you have to do. You got to learn to work the system. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take my money. I'm going to continue to focus on building in on the weekly DCA, take my profits when it's time to take the profits, even if it's not the top. Protect your money. Always protect your money. Protect your wealth, right? If you make gains, don't watch a round trip. And then once we come back around to where I believe the market bottoms are in, we're going to deploy money strongly again and continue on with that and start the DCA process over. So it's not bearish or bullish. It's just prepared for the markets at any given time. So at any given time, everyone out there should be a little bit bullish and a little bit bearish, right? That's how you make money in the market. So.
And if I'm completely honest, I actually agree with that. So since Bitcoin was created in 2009, we technically have been in a super cycle, but we have always had these bear years because we have a halving year where the supply is cut. That obviously leads to the bull run year, and then obviously the price cannot sustain the growth of the price cannot sustain, and then we go down into a bear market. Blah de blah de blah. It's all very natural. Okay, so alt season 2025, yes or no? We're getting very close. Sorry?
No.
What? No. Oh,
it depends on what you mean by alt season. Do you mean traditional alt season? Well, do you mean like I want to see a sector of the top 20 pop off and then I want to see AI pop? Like, where's this money going to come from to bring millions of crypto up at the same time to create alt season that we've had in the past? It depends on how you define alt season.
Very, 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 very true. So I was actually talking to Crypto Seth about this as well. And I was saying, do you think that there'll be an alt season? And he goes, well, because obviously, as we both know, the market is completely diluted with millions upon millions of coins. Now, he said something that was really he said something that was really, really interesting. It was not something that I've heard from anyone else. I don't know if you've heard it, but he goes, when retail come in, if they come in, and that's another question, do you think retail's going to come in? But when retail come in, they'll be looking at the top 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 coins. They're not going to be looking at coin 4 million, whatever. And he goes at the top couple of coins, top couple of thousands of coins, they will be rising. That's his take on it. Do you kind of agree with that?
Sure, but not completely. I don't think it's that top percentage. Most of retail doesn't even know how to use MetaMask or any of these decentralized exchanges that get that top 200 plus, right, to 1,000. They don't even know how to use that stuff. If they do, they're going to get wrecked because that's where all of the big hacks come from. And someone goes, well, I connected this wallet to get that, and then they drained everything. That's not retail. Retail doesn't do that. The retail that knows how to do that, they've already been here. First of all. Second of all, I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think if you really want to look at it, and here I will share this screen. I'm bringing up a screen. I tried to not do it, but we're going to bring up a screen. Share screen. There we go.
You're welcome to bring it up. I don't mind. Let's have a look.
Let me go to entire screen. Let's talk about this. This is into the cryptoverse, and I think he's got the best approach to looking at what alt season looks like. Okay. And he bases, and I think you will see alt season based on this, but I'll explain how they do this. So alt season index currently right now it's sitting at 60.87. Okay. It is neither Bitcoin nor altcoin season right now. Right now, and you look at the line, this is where we are. We're around this right under 70%, right? We're at 60.87. We don't hit alt season until we hit up in the 75 range. What's the methodology on this? Because you always have a methodology. If there's no methodology behind someone's statement and claim or analytics, then okay, what'd you do? Just throw darts at a dartboard? No, there's no methodology here. And so the altcoin season index is defined as the amount of top 50 altcoins that have a 90-day return of investment greater than Bitcoin's divided by the amount of altcoins that were used in the index, 50 in this case, when you take away stable coins, and multiplying that result by 100. Whenever less than 25% of altcoins have a 90-day return on investment greater than Bitcoin, then we say it's Bitcoin season. When it's 75% of the altcoins have a greater ROI than Bitcoin, then most altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. And so to get to that point, of the 75, we still have a ways to go. But what I think is going to happen is that it's going to be this top 50, top 100, top 200. To say that retail are going to buy the token number 2,000, I'm sorry, I don't know many people. If I go through half of my community, most of them don't know how to use MetaMask and connect to other wallets. Retail is your general crypto person with minimal understanding of how to do this stuff. They don't know how to buy token number 1,000. So those people that do know how to do that, your retail degens that know how to do that stuff, they've been in the market this whole time trying to catch that pop. And they either have lost all their money because they didn't catch the right altcoin, or they didn't make any money because they bought, Cardano at 75 cents and they're still sitting in that range, right? I think that's what most retail is at right now. So, and to be fair, retail, all of your Bitcoin ETF is retail. To be fair. That's where a lot of money has gone to. People talk about BlackRock's buying all the Bitcoin. No, retail's buying Bitcoin through BlackRock. BlackRock owns 6 Bitcoin. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I hate that comment. BlackRock's buying all the Bitcoin. No, they own 6 Bitcoin. 6 Bitcoin on their books. Everything else that they own is freaking retail. So,
Okay.
The more you know.
Right. So for most, just very quickly, I think Harp, ALJR, and Julie came in. Carlton's here as well, but I'm pretty sure I said hi to Carlton before. So welcome to everyone who's come in on the chat. Right. Okay. So basically, for a lot of people, it's no Lambo.
No Lambo. Nope. No Lambo. I think we're we're starting to get to a point. Everyone talks about this. They want Bitcoin to become stable, right? They want stable pricing.
Mhm.
That's the goal. We're starting to get there. Less pumps,
Yeah.
smaller dumps. Like this is what it looks like. Smart. You have to become a smarter investor at this point, and invest wisely. Steady, slow and steady wins the race. I think that's what you're going to see. Will you still get the altcoins that pop off? Could you have, hey, I saw XRP was down at this level and I ran in on it and did a, 20x trade on it with $1,000 and pulled in all this money in 30 minutes? Sure, absolutely. But I think that your Lambos are going to, finding one token in a sea of a million that's going to do what Shiba Inu did. Come on, like
Mm-hmm.
lottery tickets.
They're
At
just
this
pumping
point,
dumps
you
now.
might as
They
well
won't
buy
last.
lottery tickets.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's all pump and dumps now. There's just too many of them. Okay. So very interesting what you're saying. We always have in the 4-year cycle, and then obviously we have, we have multiple cycles in crypto. We have obviously, it started off with worth pennies. Bitcoins was worth pennies in 2009. Now it's over 100,000. We've had three down years, 3 bear market years. Are we going to see a parabolic, euphoric rally towards the end of this year?
No, I think
November time.
I think towards the end of October is the max. I don't think it runs past that. I think by that point you start to see the cracks in the economy and money sentiment. Wall Street starts to run and flee. I think that's what happens. It won't be a straight down line. You're going to have relief rallies. It's going to, then all you do is you go, you know what? We set a lower high and a lower low on the higher time frame. I might want to take some profit here. You'll have time to react to it, and that's what we'll do in our community over at Piper Academy. Is when we see relief rallies giving us lower highs after a lower low, then we're probably going to take out some more profits and prepare ourselves for the bottom of the market, which I have a great indicator for. It's called the bottom on Bitcoin every single cycle within a month of it. So we'll be prepared over there, and you're in the community. So Princess, keep watching the chart. I'll make sure I tag everybody so you know. But yeah, I don't think that we get the euphoria pump this year. We haven't seen it, and a lot of that euphoria that we saw was because we had stimulus money, right? We had stimulus, but nobody's got that money anymore, and they're not printing stimulus checks anytime soon, guys. Anytime soon. So I don't know. I don't know where that money would come from to make that euphoria pump happen. Everyone goes, "Hey, we've had this every cycle." But that's only 3 times. 3 times doesn't take a pattern. If you look statistically, it takes 17 to 20 times of something occurring to be a pattern. And so we can operate on a minute level based on what has happened 3 times, but I wouldn't say that it's a high likelihood that it has to continue on.
I've never
I
heard
think if
that.
you,
It takes
yeah,
17. So the pattern
17
has
to
to
20
recur.
times to be considered a pattern in statistics. Yep. So.
By the way, did you see what BC wrote a little while ago? He's so funny. I'm going to get you into trouble, VC. I'm just joking. Okay, so if the 4-year cycle is broken, when do you think people will realize the 4-year cycle has broken?
I don't think it's broken. I just don't think that it's going to be as prevalent as we've seen in the past. I still think that you have difficulty ratings that occur on a 4-year basis. I still think that you have sentiment. If people believe there's a 4-year cycle, they will create a 4-year cycle, right? So the top said, I'm selling, I'm buying back. We're coming into this window on the halving. That creates the 4-year cycle. It's self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So I still think that we're going to have it. But what was the question about if I don't think that it happens still? No, what was the question? If I don't think that it happins? What was the
I said,
question?
when do you think people will realize it's broken? When do you think people will realize
Too late.
Way too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
Way too late. That is most people. Most people will get caught round tripping. That's why I've taken profit several times this year and continue to re-enter on DCA I've taken
Mhm,
profit probably 5 times this year, and I'm
mhm,
still very much invested, but I protected my wealth the whole way. So it's kind of like as it goes up, I slide in a board to brace it, right? And then bring it down to that board, and then again start building up, take another piece out. And so I'm just building wealth. At the end of the day, have I missed out on a few percentages? Sure. Have I protected myself from 30% sell-offs? 100% I have. But then I started DCAing even heavier down when we were 30% down. So yeah, I may have missed a few percentages of upwards movement by taking profit, but I've made way more compounded movements to the upside taking money. So making money. So
mhm, mhm. Let's talk about ETH and touch upon altcoins right now. So the altcoin market and Bitcoin have kind of decoupled. I don't think ETH's dead. And from the last time we spoke, you did not think ETH was dead, but it has performed very, very poorly. What are your thoughts on
I
ETH?
think the last time I was on here, I reminded you that Ethereum set at 1900 for most of the cycle back in 2021. Was that
Mm-hmm.
on here that I made that comment? I was like, let's not forget, Ethereum set at
Maybe.
$1,900
I don't
for
remember it,
over a
but
year.
yeah.
And so I wanted to keep telling people that. Was I disappointed in it? Yes, I was very disappointed in my ETH bag. But I did remind people several times that Ethereum has had long periods where everyone thinks it's dead. It's sitting at $1,900, and then all of a sudden it melts faces.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen face melting, but we've definitely seen that the revival of Ethereum and its potential still exists. So, uh, pretty interesting that we made a new all-time high. But if you take a look at, let's take a look at historically here. Bitcoin sets a new all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
Ethereum comes in,
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin pulls back, Ethereum sets a new all-time high,
Mm-hmm.
and then altcoins, and then that's the end of the market.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that where we are right now?
Well,
Is are we at that point now? Ethereum, Bitcoin all-time high, check. Ethereum all-time high, check. Altcoin all-time high, big rally. I don't know. Something to keep see. There's all these factors you gotta always be being aware of,
yeah.
stay aware of, so that you can go, where are we? What's the potential? Because it's all about likelihoods, right? Probabilities and likelihoods. And so we have to have all of those different paths that can happen in line and be prepared for a contingency for all of them. So
Okay. So I think just like yourself, do believe that there will be one more rally before the end of the year, and that for me would be it. I'm exiting out. The next rally, I'm out. I don't care. I don't care where my altcoin bag is. I'm not going to hold it for any longer. Is that your plan as well?
yeah,
Next rally.
absolutely. Protect your. I'm going to protect my wealth. 100%. Matter of fact, some of the altcoins have been hitting the 70% threshold on risk, which is a 30% take profit in our community. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, for these ones that aren't hitting this, take a look across the board here. If this is hitting 30% take profit, Solana, XRP, Ethereum are hitting this. Take a look at your other alts and go, do I want to take out my profits on this also? And that's my stance there. If you start to see things that are saying take profits, look at your ones that may not have moved yet and consider taking profits on those also, because there's no guarantee that it's the next mover. It might just be a dead token.
Mm-hmm.
It might
Mm-hmm.
just be very far off from its $3 top in 2021. So
Mm-hmm. So would you just say to anyone, look, before the end of the year, just take profits at some point this year? Because, like me, do you believe 2026 will be a bear market?
yes, I do. And I think that it's
Okay.
actually, we have the potential right now. He's saying this out loud. We have the potential right now based on the macro structure that's going on. We could have something right now that looks a lot like the Great Depression if things continue on the glide path. And you're talking 6-year bear market. I don't think that's the case, but that is a potential thing that does exist in the macro side of everything right now. So, am I going to take profits? I absolutely am. Scared money don't make money. Sure, great. I agree with that. But scared money also can lose everything and get absolutely wrecked. I think the smartest comment you can say is no one's ever gone broke taking profits. And if you're afraid to take profits, then you probably should not be investing, because that's what the goal of it is. So, is making profits. So,
awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Army Piper, and thanks to everyone in the chat. I do apologize if I haven't called someone out. Let me just have a look at the chat. I love how you do that. I'm going to have to get that on my thing. I love that.
It's an Apple thing.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can do balloons.
Let's have a look. Oh,
I do Rockstar.
I've got a webcam now. Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Awesome. So thank you so much, Army Piper, for coming on and sharing your take with us. If I'm completely honest, I completely agree with you at when the all-time high would be. And I'm also not going to say it's going to be something ridiculous. I'm not going to say ridiculous, but I'm also going to say it's not going to be as high as 200,000 that a lot of people are, saying it's going to go up to a 200,000. We don't have the time or the momentum, etc., for that. And I do actually think that out there in the world, there's a lot of suffering going on, all the rest of it. I don't think we're going to have an altcoin sort of cycle that we had. I don't think we're following the previous cycles as well. And I do think next year will be a bear market. So we've got a lot to look forward to. But that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks to everyone in the chat. We love you loads, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.